We are live. We are live. We are live. So, are we getting set up for a town hall meeting this morning? Let's get back in Zoom. I think this looks good. Let me pause that. Pause that.
That is right. What do we do? We might not dare take it. Whoa, God! Don't take the left! Is there anything else you can do? He thinks he's an actor. Wait, talk about setting for testicles. Take it! Take it! Take the legs! Wait. Hold the other way. All right, give me some forceps. I might be able to catch it in his colon. Right, hold it. There's no time for this.
Um, I feel like I'm looking down. Am I looking down? I can't hear you. Test.
Yeah, man, I'm hearing you now.
Am I looking down?
Sort of. Can you?
Because I'm using because this is the iPad, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my computer that is stable. This iPad is like the camera moves with you. It's giving another vibe.
Mm-hmm. Am I losing down or up?
No, you're fine. And that wall is giving.
Okay.
That wall is so giving. I know you don't like the white wall.
I know you're gonna talk about it.
That
Okay.
white wall has made me let me tell you what else makes me money in that house, the fridge.
Yeah.
I used to do all my TikToks and my posts in front of the fridge and play music.
Yeah.
So I think this is all I have, Jay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. No, you're good.
Because how else is it gonna be? Because the camera on the iPad is deeper, has more depth than the camera. All right. So I know we're running a tight ship this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So this is educating and no Q&A. This is really educating.
Mm-hmm.
In the real world, this would have been the commentators, or when I did it last time, I introduced my panel. This is thrown together. I see us doing something a little bit bigger with, we introduce the panel and all them good stuff, but this is emergency. We have to get things sorted quick. I know you're going to be on TikTok live, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna stream live on TikTok.
The app, the TikTok app from my second phone is gone.
How did it go?
I don't know. When you said to go live on TikTok, I went over there. It's not there.
Why did the police stop this man at my gate?
Not at your gate. You live in the hood, dude.
At the gate.
You live in the hood. So we're going to start because we're running a tight ship, but this is practice for later where we're going to identify who the presenters and commentators are. And we're trying, this is not about blaming a thing. This is to add a little bit of calm to people's world and say, this is exactly what it is. I'm only highlighting Executive Order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as it has to do with immigration. I'll go through those.
And I'm talking about Lake and Riley's Act, kind of.
And that, what is the 2-year thing called?
So it's expedited removal. So I'm just doing
expanded expedited removal. So you're gonna do expanded, expanded, expedited
removal.
And you said 10 minutes, but I said 15. Come on,
Yeah.
And then I sent some notes. I did a little research and sent some notes. You don't have to Militin Nardi.
Okay.
Are you gonna be triggered? No. Stop. Let me see. I'm waiting for Ruben. So we're gonna do Lake and Riley, and so you're gonna do the I should make you co-host until Ruben comes, just in case. But my Wi-Fi is kind of strong.
Okay.
Please make me co-host.
The Wi-Fi is kind of strong. So all right, Nardi, you're co-host.
Yeah.
Don't let in anybody yet until Ruben comes in.
No problem.
I'm waiting for Ruben to come in. So Jay, you're gonna do Lake and Riley and expedited
removals.
Expedited removals. And like I said, this is the beginning of a bigger town hall that I want to host, where we dress up properly. We're in a studio and we'll do some heavy lifting, but right now this is gonna get us there today. I know we're tight on time, and you and Ruben have to go at 11. Ruben might leave, because if things get good, Ruben might leave and I might stay, because Ruben can cover our 11 a.m. But we're gonna try to keep it on time.
I go at 11 too, because
that's what I said. You and Ruben are leaving at 11.
I have consultation, yes.
No, man, you and Ruben are leaving. Ruben can go at 11, so we should be okay. So I'm just waiting for Ruben, and that's it.
Oh.
Ardia is here. I'm just making sure I acknowledge the legal rebels in the room.
First I'm seeing these actions,
I'm sorry?
The first I see them action, yeah.
Which action?
Police have a gate to get ticket.
I'll get to 11 now. I got to go read him rights.
I know me for that. And the police, we make sure, and if the police don't do it, then he can't have no case. If you might arrest him, police have to Mirandize him. Send for Miranda didn't come. Can you imagine?
I don't see Ruben yet.
Tyrell Morgan. No, man, take out Tyrell Morgan. He's not in our room. Maybe drop him when the time comes.
Tell me, what happened?
He is, he's one of those people come out with masterclass and move on.
But that's fine. It's a town hall. It's open.
Okay.
It's an open space.
Okay.
They don't have to, people, this today is more about educating, sharing information. It's not so much, and just keep everybody mute. Just mute them. They don't get to just unmute themselves or anything.
I 100 agree.
Stop, Jay. You're live already?
I'm not live yet, but the way I'm set it up is that I'm looking at both of them.
Yeah.
He's hard to travels.
Yeah, I think because you know what I did a WhatsApp blast.
Oh yeah, because I was about to ask because remember, I'm located in some Florida groups and stuff.
Put it in, and do you mind putting it in there, please? Everybody's welcome. I did a whole WhatsApp blast this morning.
Let me see if they'll allow me to post it.
I put it in all my WhatsApp groups, so you're gonna see. Good morning, Olga. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Very good. How are you guys?
Good,
How is
good.
everybody?
And your co-host as well, Olga. We have about 21 people in the waiting room so far, but we didn't want to let them in until Ruben came in.
I was able to post it in our group.
Yeah, I put it in a lot of groups. All right, we got to make Ruben co-host as well. There he is. I was like, we can't start without him. All right, let me make Ruben co-host. He's here. So remember, I'm working from my iPad, so it's a little tricky for me. So I've made Ruben co-host. We're gonna ask everybody in the room, if you haven't yet posted this town hall into groups so your clients can come in, you let them know. This will not be an open town hall per se, where a lot of people get to ask questions, but Olga, Jay, Nordia, Vanessa, if you have comments, please let us know. It will be this is a thrown together town hall, y'all. We did put it together as quickly as possible. Hopefully in the future, we can do something a little bit more formal, but when things like this are happening, we can't stop to make perfection. We have to get the information out. So you can post this on your group. You can go live on your other platforms if you so desire. Comments will be limited, especially to legal rebels. Comments will be limited to us. For questions, we're not going to take open questions. We're directing people back to okay, identify yourself as legal rebels. If you guys want to put legal rebels next to your names, they can book a chat with you. This isn't where they come. This is not TikTok where they get to ask a million questions, right? This is really about education, only because we have a hard start and a hard stop. So legal rebels, I really want to thank you. Ruben, you'll record. So Ruben, as usual, we're going to kick off with you. You're going to do the opening based on the schedule we sent out, and then you turn it over to me, and then I'll go. I'm presenting on the 5 executive orders. Jay, you're going to do Lake and Riley. Jay, you're doing Lake and Riley and expanded deportation. And then Olga, you're going to talk about what this means for the Hispanic community. What does this mean? What have you been seeing? I'm sorry to throw you on the spot, but I don't like to ask you to show up, Olga, because I know it's a Saturday and, you have other things you have other cakes baking. So I didn't want to throw you on there, but I do want to throw it over to you to talk about what you're seeing in the Hispanic community. All right.
Who's recording right now?
There's no recording.
Yeah,
It is being recorded, but I don't know who initiated
who
it.
started the recording, right?
Vanessa Cabrera.
All right, can you stop the recording, please?
Stop your.
All right, perfect, because we record to the cloud. All right, perfect. So are we ready? Then I'll get started recording. I'll let everybody in, and then I'll start the recording, and that way we can start without the intro. Okay, perfect. Hold on a second. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Saturday morning. It is cold all over the United States. Imagine this, in Florida, and I'm sitting here by the fireplace. Look at that. Ooh, so cool, huh? So if you guys notice, the fire's behind me, so I'm getting my rear end warmed up for this morning, just for you guys, okay? So outstanding. Welcome, everybody. Well, listen, this is going to be a quick meeting this morning with Attorney Diani Winterfunde and the rest of the staff of the Academy and all of you who have been invited to attend this meeting. This is important. There are things that are happening in the news all around us and that are affecting all of us here in immigration. So the one thing that we're going to do is we're going to dispel some of those myths. We're going to cover some of the information, and just so in the sake of time and try to value the time that we all have this morning together, There are a lot of things that we're going to cover today. We have different speakers that are going to talk about different areas of what's happening in immigration this week and for the next future weeks. But without further ado, I want to introduce and bring onto the screen and the microphone a person that I've become very close to over the last almost 20 years now, and that I consider a friend and a mentor and a person that we have been traveling this road together for the last 4 years, bringing the best to non-attorneys in the immigration world. And we also have a very special event that's going to take place this year in Tampa, Florida. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more here towards the later of this morning, because what happens is this: attorneys have a place where they get to gather and share information. Well, guess what? Non-attorneys do too. And that's called WILA Live, and that's going to be in March right here in Tampa, Florida. Well, without further ado, I want to pass the microphone and the camera to the founder and the creator and the visionary of the Winter Immigration Law Academy, a good friend and a person who is changing lives, not only for the people that are here, but lives all over the entire world. Ms. Diani Winter-Funde, the camera and the microphone is yours this morning.
All right, guys. Thank you all so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Wataguan. Buenos dias. That's the extent of my language. Buongiorno. Good morning, everyone. I am sitting in cold Louisiana. Why? Because I have a trial Monday morning in Louisiana. So I'm here getting ready for litigation Monday morning here in Jena, Louisiana. For those of you who do not know me, I am attorney Diani Winter-Funde, founder and CEO of the Winter Immigration Law Academy, also founder and CEO of Winter Immigration and Winter Law Practice, all based out of Tampa, Florida. I have spent the better part of my legal career, all 20 years, advocating for immigrants. So before I became a lawyer, I am an immigrant first. Moved to this country back in 1996, believe it or not. February 4th, 1996 was when I entered this country. And I've always been fascinated with the law. Founded the Academy for Non-Attorneys. That is why there's so many non-attorneys in the room. I want to take the opportunity to not acknowledge my legal rebels, but to thank my legal rebels. I want to take the opportunity. If I start calling names, I'm going to get in trouble. If I start calling names, I'm going to get in trouble. So I know Jay Carter is in the room. Nordia Barrett Lewis is in the room. Jay Carter, Immigration Annex ECP. Nordia Barrett, she's over there in Atlanta, Georgia. Olga Sarmiento, MLB Coco. And I think I see Vanessa Cabrera out of Las Vegas. Laura Ward out of, I don't know, Memphis. I don't know, Nashville. I never know where Laura Ward is, but I do want to acknowledge her this morning. And all of my incoming legal rebels, I want to say thank you and good morning. This is, as you can see, a town hall meeting where we're going to talk about these executive orders. We're going to spend the first, and we do have, I won't acknowledge any family members of Winter Law Practice in the room. Why? Because I'm going to respect your privacy. But if you're here and you've been a client of the firm, a family member of the firm, I'm going to acknowledge you if you're here. I'm not saying you're here, but if you're here, I do want to acknowledge you. I do want to acknowledge my right-hand man, love him to death, Mr. Ruben Santiago. This week I said to him, hey, I'm doing a town hall Saturday morning. I'm going to be in Louisiana. I'm doing a town hall. And lo and behold, we have a town hall with over 62 individuals and people are in the waiting room. I want to thank Olga Sarmiento and Jay Carter, who's joining me on this panel this morning, who's going to help advance the conversation. Why? This conversation is affecting the Black and Brown community. And so Black and Brown people have to be a part of the conversation. We must be a part of the conversation. Let me set the pace for this morning. This is not a political conversation. So if you're here to talk Republican and Democrats, you're in the wrong room, boo. This conversation is about immigrants, their rights, what we can do to help them. This has nothing to do with Republican or Democrats. This is about us arming you with a conversation where you can serve a community that is now scared. and they're looking to you to be their leaders. So how we have this set up for you, we have some moderators in the room. They're dubbed co-hosts. They'll be letting you in. If we have time for questions, then we'll go to questions. For my legal rebels, we're also live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube, and we're also live in the room. So we're going to spend the first 20 minutes or so debunking some of the myths around the executive orders only as they pertain to immigration. So I'm going to go through all 5. There's about 8 of them, but some are more important. Some of them are standing out, and we're going to just put these executive orders in their place. So if I were you, I'd probably have a pen and paper. So when we go through each one, we can kind of see exactly what it is, what it says, and what it means. Jay, you got to send me the request again. I think I lost you on TikTok. If you want to send me that request again. I saw a request coming from you. Send it to me again. Then we're going to go into the Lakin-Riley Act. Jay's going to cover the Lakin-Riley Act and expanded expedited removal. So if you notice, I'm using names of what we're going to discuss, because if you hear people say, they'll say, oh, the president said, if you've lived here for 2 years, we're going to deport you if you've been here for more than 2 years. It's called expanded expedited removal, right? So let's get started. Get your pen and paper out, and let's pay attention for the next 20 minutes as I just cover some of the executive orders. I'm going to ask my panelists, Jay Carter and Olga Sarmiento, if at any point they want to chime in, jump in, please. All right. So let's start with a summary of the executive orders. Number 1, here's what we know. On January 20th, the president got sworn in. He started signing executive orders the evening of January 20th. What are these executive orders? The first thing the president did was declare a national emergency and included a lot of executive orders. The only orders we're discussing this morning, the only orders we're discussing are the ones pertaining to immigration. Now, there is some extension, especially for Nordia, that address enhanced vetting of visa applicants. So at the consulate, we're going to see some activity outside of the US. He's calling those enhanced vetting. That is going to be a conversation with Consular Queen Nordia Barrett. Some of those that are ringing for a lot of us are birthright citizenship, border security. There's some with the US-Mexico-Canada agreement. Of course, asylum was a hot topic, but let's do a summary. Let's summarize it as it pertains to immigration, because I think what's happening now, and we see it on TikTok, we see it everywhere, it's jumbled in our heads exactly what it is. All right, it's jumbled. I have people begging to be let into the room. Moderators, watch the room, please. People are messaging me, I can't get in, I can't get in, I can't get in. All right, so the first executive order as it pertains to immigration, number 1, you know where we're going to go. It's 2001. You know the first thing the president is going to say is what? If you said terrorism, you're on point. Why? Remember, the president cannot unilaterally change the law. However, the president does have what we call, write it down, presidential powers. So a lot of you are saying, can the president do this? The president, any president, under Article 1 of the United States Constitution can do a lot of things. Why? They have presidential powers. So the first thing the president says, let me protect the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and safety threats. That's the first thing he said. Why? Because that's a part of his power. Can the president change the Immigration and Nationality Act unilaterally? No. But the president can say, I need to protect the United States from foreign terrorists. And that's the first thing he did. And as it pertains to individuals outside of the country applying for B1 visas, the EB2, you've gotten it. Now it's time to show up to that consulate. The EB3, you're outside the country. The first act might affect you, and here's how. there's a higher likelihood that as a foreign national, if you're applying for a visa at a consulate, you may be placed into, Nordia loves this word, administrative processing. It's the black hole where they don't ask you for anything. They're not asking you for anything. They're just saying, we need to process. It means under this first executive order, the president wants enhanced vetting. So even though your family member has filed for you, it has been approved. You file an EB2, EB3, and it has been approved. Even though all of that has happened, there will be what we call enhanced vetting. During these interviews, remember, if you're in a high-risk country, you're going to encounter high-risk scrutiny. If because you're in a foreign country, you will encounter what we call high-risk scrutiny. So that's number one. There are going to be more delays, guys. There's going to be more delays. There are going to be some travel bans. If you remember, under Trump 1, we had the travel ban for certain countries. Please expect a repeat of that. It's going to be some travel bans for some of those high-risk countries. We're going to see a lot more requests for evidence. So when we look at the first executive order, the first executive order is foreign terrorism, national security, and public safety. Let's go to number 2. Protect the meaning and value of American citizenship, aka birthright citizenship. That's all this is. This is aka birthright citizenship. This executive order, and by the way, it has already been blocked by a federal judge out of Texas. So executive order number 2, as it pertains to immigration, birthright citizenship, to acquire U.S. citizenship automatically, children born on or after February 19th of 2025 must have at least one parent who is either a legal permanent resident or a U.S. citizen. This is a limitation on birthright citizenship. It would go into effect on February 19th, 2025. It has already been limited by a federal judge out of Texas. What does this mean? If both parents are unlawfully inside of the United States and both are on a temporary U.S. visa, even if you're on visa waiver program, if this child is born on or after February 19th of 2025, they will not they will not be considered a U.S. citizen. Thus far, 24 U.S. states and 2 U.S. cities have filed lawsuit on this. 24. So when we talk about the presidential powers, states are getting in action. So 24 U.S. states, 2 U.S. cities have filed lawsuit. And on January 23rd, the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington, they issued a temporary restraining order blocking the implementation of this executive order. So birthright citizenship is already being litigated. Birthright citizenship is already being litigated. So write that down. When people try to tell you about birthright citizenship, already that is being litigated. So keep that in mind. All right, let's talk about the next one. And it's kind of, it gets a little repetitive after a while with the president. The next one he talks about is securing our borders. There's a national emergency at the US borders. This declaration, when you talk about sending troops already, I believe 1,500 Marines have been deployed. So this declaration, it's number 3, securing the borders. So if you're taking notes and following us, number 1, what did we talk about? Write it down. Number 1, if you're taking notes, we talked about protecting the United States from terrorists, always a common thing that we use. Number 2, we're protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship. Number 3, we're securing our borders. Number 3, we're securing the US border. What does this declaration say? And I read verbatim. This executive order directs the use of armed forces, additional physical barriers, drones, unmanned aerial systems to impede and deny unauthorized entry into the southern border. That's the border between United States, Mexico. It also gives the Department of Homeland Security the validity. They must determine the validity of familial relationships between foreign nationals. So if I'm coming in illegally and I say, this is my wife, this is my children, prior, there was no requirement that immigration or customs and border patrol had to prove that it is your wife and your children. Now they have the power to determine that validity, okay? Also keep in mind, CBP 1 is gone. The executive order has ended CBP 1. All of the parole programs for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans coming in at the border will end or has ended under this executive order. What are some things that we're going to see? We're going to see increased wait times at the US border, the southern border. If you're a US national and you use the southern border to commute, you're going to see some wait time. As a foreign national, if you're going overseas through the southern border, please be ready to present documentation confirming your relationship to your dependents. That is number 3. Now let's look at number 4, the trade policy. No immediate impact through this trade policy. It's just reviewing the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement, the trade agreements. They're saying these need to be reviewed. For those of you that do business immigration, this would affect E1, E2, E3s, and maybe your H1Bs, mainly Chile, Singapore, those countries. That's who will be affected under number 4, the America First trade policy. The president has said, let's review all of these trade policies. Number 5 is executive order protecting the American people against invasion. Number 5 is protecting the American people against invasion. We're just setting, again, like I said, this starts to become repetitive. Enforcement policies for illegal entries, unlawful presence, and removal of those unlawfully present in the United States. And Jay's going to talk about what does that mean now that we have expanded deportation. So who's going to be affected under this? You have an illegal entry, you have an unlawful present, and you have been unlawfully present. Under this order number 5, we're going to see expanded deportation. The president under this order also wants undocumented individuals to register themselves inside of the United States. What does it sound like to you? All of the sanctuary jurisdictions, those sanctuary cities that we talk about, they will potentially be gone. If sanctuary cities do not cooperate with the president under this executive order, their funding will be cut. Their funding will be cut. Number 6, let me just talk real quick about the potential impacts under number 5, protecting the American people against invasion. TPS and any employment based on the TPS will likely not be extended. We're waiting for USCIS to issue policies that talk about those automatic extensions. So we're waiting for the execution of this. So TPS might not be extended under this policy. Number 6, executive order granting the states protection against invasion. So the president has said there's a war on immigration. So at the southern border, Article 4 of the Constitution will prevent individuals from seeking asylum at that port of entry. Yes, closing. You know, normally you could come and seek asylum. Now you can't. DHS will block all asylum seekers and any other individuals at entry at the southern border. We do not expect any legal challenges to this. Why? Because the southern border had gotten out of control. I'm not predicting that any groups are going to sue on this particular order, because essentially they're saying, look, block everybody who comes to the southern border. They should not be seeking asylum there. So we haven't seen any litigation yet. I don't expect to see any. Number 7, and then we have one more. Number 7, realigning the United States, the refugee program. You can just write refugee assistance here. So for those individuals that are outside the US and they had sought refugee status and it was approved, effective January 27th of 2025, all refugee applications are suspended. Suspended. You cannot come in. DHS is saying you may admit on a case-by-case basis, and it's Executive Order 14013. However, all refugee, and this is effective January 27th, so that is this Monday, they will determine whether this will continue. But as of now, those refugee programs are suspended. And number 8 is a rescission of all of Biden's executive orders. So number 8, the president says, you know what? All of the Biden executive orders that were in place are now rescinded. So you can take a look at some of those. It's everything that the Biden administration had put into play, but now those are being rescinded. So I explained what the executive orders are. Let's talk about, I'm going to bring Jay Carter up. So that was a lot of bubble gum, right? That your mouth should now be filled. You're like, how do I chew this? Essentially, all you got to say with this is, if you are in the United States and you are undocumented and you have no application pending with immigration, you're in trouble. I'll repeat. If you're in America for more than 2 years, I have no application with immigration, you're in trouble. For those people that have a pending application, meaning you have a receipt notice from immigration, you have a court date, you're going to be okay. Why? Because of due process. Don't break the law. They're going to keep you here. They may fast track your process. The process may go faster. But if you're here and you have an application that's pending, you are safe until that application has been adjudicated. So I'm going to bring Jay Carter on. I just explained all the things, all the mumbo jumbos in this. I'm going to bring Jay Carter on. Jay, I want you to talk about Lake and Riley, and I want you to talk about expanded deportation. However, don't lose track that if you're here physically, you have an application pending, you're okay. Then the question becomes, I'm here in a temporary status. What happens when that status ends? It's a wait and see. We know TPS was a Biden thing. The president wants. It's gone. So we have to see, what is the president going to be putting in place? Are those people going to be placed in deportation? Are we going to terminate? Some of that is wait and see. Mr. Jay Carter, aka the Asylum King, welcome to the stage.
All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So we're talking immigration again this morning, as we've been talking immigration for the last 50 years. And so today we're talking the Lake and Riley's Act. And who's Lake and Riley? So Lake and Riley happened to have been a young lady in Georgia she was a nursing student, and she was tragically unalived by an undocumented immigrant. And as a result of that, a lot of arguments have been floating all over the place. And so, the government decides, hey, we need to protect the American people. And in so doing, we need to pass an act, or we need to introduce a bill in Laken's name. And this bill or this act, which is already passed by both the House and the Senate, and it's just waiting on the president's signature. And that was as of the 22nd of January, 2025. And so the Lake and Riley Act it mandates the detention, and I want you to listen carefully. It mandates the detention of undocumented immigrants who have related offenses to theft. And so for those persons who are here shoplifting, for those persons who are here committing larceny, for those persons who are here doing burglary, this act or this bill that is just waiting on the president's signature will require that you are detained, mandatory detention, even without a conviction. And so what we're expecting is you're detained because the aim is to protect public safety. The aim is to maintain order in the public. And so once you're detained, you're going to be placed in removal proceedings. And when you're placed in removal proceedings, guess what? Because you are a threat to public safety, some of, you know how that good moral character and all of those stuff would have done something for you previously. The fact that you're in this situation, your character is not moral, it's immoral, right? And so none of those stuff is going to be able to kind of help you. And so it also empowers the state attorneys to sue the federal government if they think that they're not doing enough to, let's say, combat illegal immigration. And so we're having this conversation because we know that sometimes and I don't even want to say in an error, but sometimes it happens in an error, you're cashing and something, you forget to cash it out, and the cameras and whatever pick it up and they say, hey, you're stealing. And sometimes there are people out there that do it deliberately. I'm not even going into Walmart and eating the grapes without paying for them. And I'm suggesting that you should not be doing that either. Because once you are picked up for, again, larceny, shoplifting, burglary, any of those offenses, immediate detention, and you're going to be placed in removal proceedings. For those who don't understand what removal proceedings is, it's the same thing as deportation proceedings. And that's what everybody is scared and fearful of. All right. Now, there are a lot of arguments, for this act. As a matter of fact, it did get bipartisan support in Congress, which means that both sides of Congress is saying, we really need this because we really need to protect the American people. And the reality is that some of the things that we sometimes get arrested for, the things that we shoplift for, it really doesn't make much sense, right? And so that's something that we need to stop. So it is for us now to continue to educate our communities on all of these, the implication of what this will have on people. Because guess what? In order for there to be mass deportation, there need to be people to be deported. And a lot of times, some of us find ourselves in deportation because we placed ourselves in deportation. So even people with green cards are asking, oh, am I safe? I mean, generally, unless you're committing crimes. And so critics are saying, hey, this may also violate due process. But the government, they think that this is the way forward. They think this is really the way forward because there are people out there disrupting public order, and in order to curtail it, then we need something that will allow us to pick them up off the street, detain them, and if you don't belong here, the aim is to send you back from whence you come. And so the Lake and Riley's Act, again, guys, it's just the president's signature is waiting on, and all of us know that the president loves to sign, and so this is going to be signed pretty soon. So we need to if you know a friend or if you know somebody who love to engage in these stuff, tell them this is something that they need to stop. All right.
Real quick, Mr. Carter, what is the act and who is affected?
So the act is affecting undocumented immigrants who are inside the US. It doesn't matter how long you're here. Once you're inside the US and once you are charged for theft-related offenses, shoplifting, larceny, burglary. Once you're charged for those stuff, then you are subjected, the act says you are subjected or the act is mandating detention, right? And then we know, Attorney Winter, that ICE determines who is detained, and right now they're doing mandatory detention. And so once you're detained, we know you're moving towards the removal process.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then again, the act was designed or created because of what would have happened in Georgia to the nursing student, Lakin Riley. All right. And then let's talk quickly about the expansion of expedited removals. Now, what is expedited removal? Expedited removal is that process that allows for, and I want you to listen, it allows for the deportation of certain undocumented individuals without a hearing in front of an immigration judge. And you may be wondering, how is it that I can be deported without seeing an immigration judge? They have expedited removals, which previously, DHS officers, they were the ones who would usually carry out expedited removal. And expedited removal would take place, well, people who are usually found within 100 miles of the US borders, or people who would have entered the US and have been here for 14 days or less. Those are people who could have been removed using expedited removal. Now, DHS wants to expand expedited removal. And again, this is also something that there's a lawsuit against. We have not heard whether or not there's a blockage on this, but they have filed a lawsuit against this. And so what they want to do now with expedited removal is that they want to expand the borders. So it's not just 100 miles away from a US border, the entire nation. So anywhere you're seen, and if you're in the US, because Attorney Winter talked about it just now, if you have been in the US for 2 years or less, or 2 years or a little over 2 years, and you have not yet filed a petition, there's nothing pending, then you might be subjected to expedited removal. And so in a memorandum that was issued yesterday to the Department of Homeland Security, I read where the acting secretary says that persons who enter the country and they have been here for 2 years or less, and they have not yet filed for an asylum, particularly they have that 1 year statutory period in which to file for an asylum. If they haven't, then they are subjected to expedited removal. And so that's what the expansion of expedited removal, that's what it aims to do. It aims to remove people who have been here for less than 2 years and they have no process started. There's nothing pending for you. And so asylum seekers, persons who perhaps would have crossed the border and their intention was to file for an asylum, and you have been here and your 1 year has passed and you haven't filed an asylum yet, you already are in big trouble because you missed your filing deadline, one. And then two, now the government is saying, if you're here and you've been here for more than a year, and asylum is what you said, you wanted. That's the reason you left your home country, because there's some sort of fear of persecution, and you have allowed the 1 year mark to pass, then you really don't need asylum. Because if you wanted to file an asylum, you would have done it within the statutory period. And so now the persons who, as I said, who have been here for a year or more and have not filed their asylum, you're at risk. Can you file your asylum now? I bet you can. So, you should be reaching out to somebody, or the legal rebels on here should be educating the community on this, letting people know, hey, take the opportunity right now. If asylum is your defense, now I'm not telling anybody to go and file any frivolous asylum cases. If asylum is your defense, go ahead.
I love that you said that, because that is one, right, Jay? That's one of the things that the president has talked about, are that asylum claim. And I want to bring Olga Sarmiento up a little bit, Jay. I know you have a hard stop, but you hit a nail on the head when you talk about those frivolous asylum claims. That is also a part of the executive order with expanded deportation. Olga, I want you to pick up on that a little bit and talk about maybe what you're seeing in your community, and tell us a little bit more. Tie in, I noticed you were putting in the comments, expanded deportation. And like I said, we're going to keep Jay and Olga up here. Olga, take the conversation from there for me, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want me to speak to the Hispanic community. I don't know if you want me to say the things Jake was discussing in Spanish, or do you want me to continue in
I
English?
want you to talk in English. English is fine. I want you to talk about the expanded removal that Jay touched on. You were putting some tips inside of the chat. Expand on that for me, because I don't want individuals in the room, if they have an asylum pending, to know they're not affected, like Jay said. But let's talk about the expanded removal process and who it affects. Because remember before, expanded removal was within 100 miles of a US border. But now the president has said what? So take the conversation from there, Olga.
Okay, the expedite removal takes place, like has been expanded to all U.S. territory. The 50 states is not within 100 miles of the border. Is gonna be in any of the U.S. territory. A person that has been here more than 14 days, and within the 14 days and less than 2 years, and they have entered without inspection. They don't have any legal status. They don't have nothing to show. And like Jay mentioned, they haven't filed anything to any claim. They haven't filed any claim on their case. They can be expedite removal with DHS. They don't have to face an immigration court. They don't have to face judge. They can be immediately removed from United States. So that's what is concerning, and not just for the Hispanic communities, but all immigrant community that have been here, like they enter without inspection, and they have been here and they have not decided to start the immigration process. They don't have anything to show, because at least, and that's a conversation that I have with the people that talk to me and ask me questions. I say, if you have a process, if you have a receipt of a process going on, you can show them you are on a pending case. You have court, you are doing the things the right way, you have entered, you submit your asylum or whatever claim you have within the time period you have to file it. And because it's not just asylum, we want to let them know that if anybody has a legitimate, like legit claim, they have their due dates to do those. So as long as they have or receive a document that shows a proof that they are in a status, or they are in a pending process, they are okay. Obviously, adding to that, you have to be with a clean record. If you have you have a status, you have or you have a process going on, but you have a criminal record, you still are in risk of a deportation because you have to show and prove your good moral character. I don't know if that kind of explain what I was trying to say.
Yes, that's clear. So I just want to recenter the conversation on where we are. And Jay, I know you have to go, but let's just recenter and talk up this overview of these executive orders. One, we know there's restrictive asylum process. You heard Jay talk about it. Asylum process is restricted. Restrictive asylum process. You can't ask for asylum at the border. If you're inside of the United States and you're on a visitor's visa, you're visiting, you're okay. ICE is not going to grab you. This is not about you. If you're in the United States, you're on a B1, B2, you're okay. If you're in the United States, Olga, what are those days? You've been here 14 days, less than 2 years, and you came through the southern border. Explain that again for me.
14 days, like more than 14 days, less than 2 years, and you entered through the border without inspection. What means without inspection? That you entered, you didn't surrender through the authorities, to the ICE or immigration police in the border, and you're here, you don't have any status, and you have been here either 14 days or less than 2 years. It can be 2 years or it can be 1 day less than 2 years, and that's the mark, the time mark for the people that can be expedite removed from the country. And it's not just that the person is near or within 100 miles of the border. This has been extended to the 50 states, the complete United States territory. So you can be, if you get stopped by ICE or any law enforcement and they found out that you don't have immigration status and you meet this timeline or requirements, you can be expedite removed from the country without facing court, without facing immigration court, and without seeing a judge, basically.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to bring Jay Carter back. Jay, come on back. We want to talk about travel bans and their impact on specific regions. Under Trump 1, Jay, we saw the Muslim travel ban. Now we're kind of seeing a refugee travel ban. You know, what are your thoughts on future travel bans? Because here's the thing, when we think travel bans, we're thinking the president is going to say, stop, don't come. But we can see that travel bans can happen through policymaking, meaning those enhanced screening. What are your thoughts? What are your tips or anything to do with those travel bans and their impact on certain regions?
And so definitely, so the Department of State is already tasked with putting together a list of those countries that are going to be banned, or there's going to be some sort of travel ban. And when they implement travel ban, it's not just to say we don't want these people in the US. It's also we don't want US people to be going to these countries, because and you've seen it all the time where they're saying, hey, these countries are dangerous and we don't want US citizens to go there and and to put their lives in danger. And so the impact is that most of the countries that are going to be on the list for the travel ban is that there are people in the United States who were looking to reunite. So what it will stop is the reunification of families. And so it's going to have a big impact on that. So we know the previous administration was big about reuniting family and was big about humanitarian sort of aid and help. This administration is saying, hey, I understand we need to reunite families, but there might be threats coming out of these countries, and we need to protect the United States.
Thanks, Jay.
So that's my thought on it.
Love it, love it, love it. And also, when we talk about the overview, DACA, TPS, there are going to be some rollbacks on that based on some of the executive orders. We're going to see some rollbacks on DACA, Deferred Action Against Childhood Arrivals, and TPS, which was a Biden humanitarian effort. So we can presume that some of those, when the time ends, they may not be renewed.
It may not be extended. And then a lot of people, DACA people are asking the question, oh, can I be deported? One of the main things is that you have to maintain your DACA status. Because if you don't have DACA status, then, I mean, there's nothing protecting you. And it's the same thing for people who have TPS. For those who don't know what TPS is, it's temporary protected status. And basically what it does, it protects you from deportation. And so it's extended for a particular period, but when that period comes to an end, there may not be any extension because some of the countries that would possibly go on that travel ban list are where TPS is extended to. No?
All right. Another, I want people to understand that DACA is not abolished. DACA is still in. I don't want people to say that. And remember, you can still apply for asylum at the border. It just means that you probably won't be let in. You can come all you want.
In Mexico.
You gotta wait in Mexico. So hear me loud and clear. You can still apply for asylum if you're inside the United States. If you're outside, you gotta wait in Mexico. DACA is in ongoing litigation. Let's talk about family-based and let's talk legal migration before you go.
But just before that, I just wanted to wrap up real quick on the expanded expedite, because one of the thing is right now the instruction is that if you come upon people who cannot show proof that they have been continuously living in the United States for 2 years, then you have the discretion. And this is what I want to emphasize, discretion, because that's what they're giving. They're giving discretion to DHS officer. In addition, even the people who are paroled in, the DHS officer has the discretion to either pause, end, or extend your parole. Legal migration, sorry. So this is where we're talking about people's in the US petitioning for family members who are outside of the US.
Or even employment. Let's make it a bigger conversation. Employment migration and family-based migration, legal migration.
So yeah, so there are many ways to come into the US, apart from coming through the border, okay? There are many ways. And, one of these is family-based, another is employment-based. And we can also say humanitarian-based, but we have seen a pause on that. So family-based is where, you have those immediate relatives in the US who qualify to petition for family who's outside, parents, spouse, children, and siblings, right? And then you have the employment-based options. And a lot of people out there don't understand that you can get employed to a US company and they petition for you to come to the US even with a green card. You can actually self-petition to come to the US on your own by just using your education and your skill and experience. And the government is saying, hey, we have these programs in place. We have these legal pathways for migration, and these are the pathways that we want you to take advantage of.
But I am saying I've been waiting 15 years for my brother. I know we got to wrap because you got to wait, but I've been waiting 15 years. So you know what? I'm going to go to the border instead, or I'm going to use a pathway not so legal. And I'm also going to say, you, Mr. President, you're putting in place some things to restrict this because now you're going to have enhanced vetting. You're going to make sure this person is related, right? So it's almost like the conversation becomes. But
it's not just enhanced vetting for people who are outside. Even people who are inside the US and filing adjustment of status, the vetting process is going to be enhanced. So we might be moving away from those green cards just appearing in the mail. We might be moving towards more of interviews.
Prove it. Yes.
And so the conversation will continue for a very long time. Changes are going to be implemented because, as we know, whenever, and we see it happens in our everyday life, even at our jobs, whenever a new boss comes in, their aim is we need to clean up. And so a lot of cleaning up is going to be happening. A lot of change in policies and procedures are going to be happening. And it may impact you for the better, or it perhaps impacts you for the worst.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carter. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Guys, expanded migration, restrictive asylum policies. Restrictive, if you stop in a third country, don't come here, ask for the asylum there. We're going to do what we call a public service announcement. We're going to have Mr. Ruben Santiago. We're not going to end. We're going to do a little Q&A after this, but we're going to have Mr. Ruben Santiago come in, and we're going to talk about our live event that we're going to have in Tampa, Florida in March, where this conversation is going to continue. Once Mr. Santiago does that, then we're going to go into our Q&A. So this is the Winter Immigration Law Academy. We're going to have an expanded event for you live in Tampa, Florida, where conversations like these are going to happen. And then you can say to yourself, how can I help my community? How can I serve my community? Before Mr. Carter goes, I don't know if he's going to go or stay, but I want to thank him for being a part of our discussion. This was a discussion that I knew we had to have, and I know Olga is probably going to stay back, and we're going to do a little bit of Q&A where you can ask some questions with our moderators. But I wanted to bring Mr. Santiago up where we talk about how can you be a bigger part of this conversation. Mr. Santiago, sir, the floor is yours.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay, for commenting about that, and the information that you gave was absolutely precious. I really, really, truly enjoyed that. So those of you who heard Jay speak, he's known as the Asylum King. Also, the information that Olga gave was spectacular. Thank you so much, Olga, for sharing that with us this morning, and Ms. D for hosting this, because I know that this was absolutely necessary in our world. No, anyhow, well, welcome everybody. This Saturday morning, I have a hard cut, so I got to leave here in about 4 minutes. So basically what I want to talk to you about this morning is about the opportunity that you see. You are here now. Imagine, this is only an hour. Imagine the information that you just got here, the little tidbits and pieces of information that you got. Now, imagine this same thing, but in 3 complete days. I mean, being fully immersed. Now, attorneys have what they call WILA. They get together, they discuss, they have their own Facebook groups, and they have their own WhatsApp groups and everything else. They talk about what's happening in immigration and within the law, but non-attorneys do not. Well, that was until Winter Immigration Law Academy was created and the WILA Live event, which the first one was in 2023. Now, we're having the next one in March. That is just a couple of months away. And, we're still, the tickets are already moving. We had 2 people buy tickets yesterday. We're going to have some more people buy tickets. So seats are not assured. This is not like a digital event where you can expand the reach and go from 100 in your Zoom account to 500 to 1,000, or we even have a platform that allows us to have 10,000 people. No, this is a physical event in Tampa, Florida. So there are limitations. There are walls. There are seats. There's only so many seats that are available. And we have some of those who are VIPs right now that you can actually be there, okay, and get access to. Anyhow, 3 days fully immersed in the world of immigration. I'm going to give you some pointers here. This is you're going to have some trainings. There are going to be some exclusive trainings. There are going to be trainings for a couple of different levels. Some of you are just getting started in immigration. Some of you already have businesses in immigration and you're looking to go scale and go to the next level. We're going to have that. So when you come to this event in Tampa, Florida, you're going to be able to find exactly where you're going to fit in so that you can actually leave the event with those tangible things that you're going to be able, some of them are you going to do right then and there, to fix things that are broken in your business or things that you really want to improve in your business to make it better. So with the Winter Immigration Law Academy, WILA Live in March of this year in Tampa, Florida, is a live event designed for non-attorneys to help you scale and take your business to the next level and to be able to serve your communities at a much higher level than you are right now. You're going to learn some of the strategies that some of our own key students are utilizing and where they've been able to duplicate the results that they're getting from their business, and you're going to have that opportunity too. So I want to thank you all for being here this morning. The information is valuable, how you're growing, how you're serving your communities as well. And, there's the link. Go ahead and secure your tickets. Believe me, they will run out. We have a limited amount of those. As you would know, it is a physical event. There are seats, there are chairs, there's meals that need to be planned. There's a lot of things that need to happen. So make sure that you reserve your spot right now, and that this year is the year that you actually get to serve your community at the highest level, because they're actually looking for you. They are looking for answers right now. You can have those answers for them. Thank you, Ms. D.
Thank you, Ruben. And Jay, Olga, all the legal rebels we mentioned, they have a jump start into helping their community. They have programs in place. They have systems in place in order to serve. What if somebody were to show up at your doorstep now? You know what? All those individuals that will fall under expedited or expanded removal, it means they're not going to get to go in front of a judge. What if you're the one to say, hey, let's get that asylum application filed. Join us in WILA Live 2025. We're going to be in Tampa. The link is in the chat. Grab that link. Jay's a part of the academy. Olga is a part of the academy. All right, guys, this morning we kind of set the foundation for you on what the executive orders are. We're going to open up for question and answers. Priority for Q&A is going to go to individuals that are currently in the academy. So the priorities for the Q&A will go to individuals that are in the academy. So if you have questions about your client, your business, Miss D, you mentioned this, what does that mean? I want you to raise your digital hand, and we're going to spend the next 20 minutes or so on a question and answer session. So we want you to raise your digital hand. What is your digital hand? It's the little digital hand at the bottom of the screen. And then we'll go through and answer you. I want you to start by, my question is, and let's put a face under the policies, right? So we talked about expanded removal. Okay, what does this mean? What does this mean, right? So go ahead, raise your digital hands if you have any questions, and then we'll grab some of those questions. Royalties, if you're in the room also, you're open to asking questions. Royalties, legal rebels, if you don't know what the digital hand is, it's at the bottom of the screen. It says raise hand. It says raise hand. Raise those digital hands. We'll wait for the hands to go up. Oh, and for the questions, we're going to ask you to have your camera on only if possible. Some of you may not want to do that. All right. So we have one question so far. Okay, good. We'll be done soon. One question. Raise your digital hand, because when you raise your digital hand, you pop to the top of my screen so I can see you. Raise the digital hands. We're giving everybody a chance to raise. Vinod, go ahead and touch the bottom of the screen. You'll see raise hand, because then we'll look how many questions we have and we'll set ourselves accordingly. All right. Thank you, Miss Cherie Shipman. Go ahead. Your question is.
Good morning. My question is, because I received information or questions from people who are here under TPS who asked for, who wanted their children to come, and they did receive approval. The children were sponsored. You know, they received the whole process. The children just have not set the travel plans and, you know, to come here. So I wanted to know, will those minor children, the TPS holders from like Venezuela, Honduras, whose parents are already in the US, will those children still be allowed to join their parents?
If they have everything in place,
the CB I'm sorry, go ahead.
If they have everything in place, buy the airline ticket, get them in. This is not the time to sit and wait. If everything is in place, you said they just haven't set travel plans, buy the airline.
They needed to get submit the approval from the parents for them to be able to travel with another adult because their parents can't leave.
If everything is in place, move the train. Move that train. What do we need to do to move the train? There are going to be rollbacks on TPS. If everything is in place, move the train. Don't sit and wait. If they need to submit something to immigration, submit. Any process that is in place, speed it up. Move the train. If, I'm waiting on a passport, expedite the passport. Move it up, because there will be a rollback. The rollback is uncertain. We talked about it earlier. We're not sure what's going to happen, if it's going to be extended. Any process, guys, hear me. Don't ask me what is going to happen. Let's talk about what is happening. Any process that is in place now that you can pour some gasoline on it and light a stick of match and get it moving, do it. Do it.
Thank you.
I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know where the president is going to go with this, but any process that is in place, Ms. Shipman, light it on fire and get those family members here. We don't know what's going to happen. I can't promise anything. All I know is that under the executive order, there is uncertainty about DACA and TPS. All humanitarian, all Obama and Biden programs. The president, current administration, has a vendetta for all those programs. Remember, executive order number 8 that I mentioned is this massive rollback on all those executive programs. So for anyone who's going to ask me a question about what's going to happen, light fire. If I have somebody waiting outside at a consulate who's just waiting and waiting and waiting, listen, go to Consulate Queen, expedite them, get them in the country. Get that process finished. Don't wait. There'll be enhanced scrutiny. Light it on fire. Tell them when they come to you, Ms. Shipman, and Ms. Shipman is a legal rebel in the academy, so I got to make sure she gets this. Make sure when they come to you, hey, let's set this process on fire. Let's get the asylum application filed now. Don't let people ask you, can I still file for asylum? Don't waste my time. I have zero energy for you. You've been asking me the same question on TikTok for 3 years. What should I do now? I don't have the patience. My son is detained. Should I hire you? It went from 17,500 to 22,000. Why? I'm sitting in a lonely hotel room in Louisiana as we speak, away from my family. So now is the time, guys, when we're saying take action, because we don't know what's going to happen. Take action. If you know the kids are out there and you need to submit something and you need to do it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Call up the congressman. Call this person up. Get your family together. I'm not scaring you. I'm saying we're taking action. Miss Denise Martinez, go ahead. Another legal rebel.
Good morning. Good morning. Question is, I have a lot of people in the community asking me, my family member is already detained. We have a process, but we don't have a receipt. And while we were talking about this, I guess good moral character may be out the window, but what can we expect at these hearings, or if they do have criminal history, what should we be preparing for the clients?
Oh, if they have criminal history, tell them to buy a land and some cow in their home country. There are people that I'm going to be talking to that I probably will not have them retain me. You mentioned criminal history and you mentioned good moral character. So I'm not sure what that means. One of the things that we're doing, they sent this out. They're called mercy filings, like mercy, have mercy on us. And I'll share it inside of our social group. It's short-term intent where they're prosecuting family members. We're doing mercy filings. We're essentially saying, wife is a U.S. citizen, children are U.S. citizens, please hold them in place. When it comes to criminal history, those things are at the top of the president's list. Those undocumented immigrants that have broken the law. So it depends on the type of crime. If you have a process with no receipt, please have them call up immigration and get a receipt. We need a receipt, unless it was just filed, but we need some proof that something was filed.
Okay.
If they are detained, we have to screen them to see if it makes sense for them to spend $20,000 on an immigration lawyer, $10,000 on an immigration lawyer, if they're detained.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Thank you, Ms. Denise. Thank you so much. Ms. Rosemary Mason, good morning. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Good morning. Yes, I had a client call last night and he had some trouble where it was assault on a police officer, had his green card. It was about maybe 30 years ago. And he's now concerned if he might be in trouble of being deported
How long has he had his green card?
for about 30 something years.
And he's never applied for naturalization?
He has been afraid to apply because of the history, where he got in trouble about 30 something years ago.
All right. So Miss Mason, I want you to get his arrest record. I want you to get the final court disposition, and I want him to retain you for naturalization. He needs to apply for naturalization.
I'm sorry, you said arrest record and also the final disposition. And what else?
He needs to retain you to apply for naturalization.
Okay.
Why? If
Thank
it's
you.
30 years ago, there's a waiver for certain offenses prior to 2000. If that's 30 years ago, he should be looking at that. That's a good question, right? So guys, that's one of the things. If someone is eligible for naturalization, now is the time to do so after you've properly screened them.
Thank you.
Is that good, Ms. Mason? You're good?
That's excellent. Yes.
I'm going to ask the moderator to lower the hands of those that have asked the question so they can move up. Miss Beverly Winter, how may I help you? Good morning. Miss Beverly Winter, you're there? All right, we'll go over to Miss Jacqueline Montiero Mendez. Miss Jacqueline Montiero Mendez. Miss Beverly Winter, you there?
Yes, good morning. Are you hearing
Good morning.
me? Good morning, Miss Danny.
Good morning.
My question is, we're dealing with the youth visa, and we don't have documents to show that we're in process of anything. We are stopped or we are caught anywhere. How we deal with that?
So if you don't have a receipt notice, say for example, you're in the process of applying and you do not have a receipt notice and you're stopped, you need to say to the attorney, you need to say to someone, hey, I have a licensed attorney, here's their number. The expanded removal ban, expanded deportation applies to individuals that have entered through the southern border. You have come into the country illegally through the southern border and you have nothing in place.
Okay.
You've entered the country. Olga, you want to repeat that? Who under expanded deportation? Who is the president going after under expanded deportation?
Anybody that has entered through the border without inspection, without surrender themselves to an immigration officer, and has been here in the country, any place within the United States, the 50 states, they can be expedite removed without facing court if they have been here within 14 days and less than 2 years, and they have not have any process going on.
Okay.
Miss Winter, does that answer your question?
Yes. So if I have a New York State identification, does that help?
Yes. That is not a lawful status, but if you get stopped by law enforcement, you have to show your ID.
Okay. All right. Thank you for answering my question. You have a good day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Miss Isilda Edwards, go ahead. Vinod, I have to call on Vinod Kumar. He's been raising his hand for 3 times, but Vinod, hold on a second. Only because we go with, I see you, but we go with the legal rebels first. Those are individuals that are inside our academy. So I see you, I'm coming to you. Miss Isilda, I think I have 1, 2, I have 3 legal rebels, and then Vinod, you're up next. Miss Isilda Edwards, go ahead.
Yes. Hi, good morning, everybody. So my question is, I have a young fellow that I'm working on his case. I think my question would be, I typed up the forms and everything for him. I think I'm not able to wait on his any documentation from his country. I believe at this time we should just send the form.
Absolutely agree. Remember, if I don't know the process, but remember, if it's an asylum application, oftentimes we don't have the documents in hand. Once we have a valid claim, we
Yes.
can mail the documentation.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Don't wait on documents from home country. Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much. Miss Nancy, Jacqueline, you're in the academy. Jacqueline Montero Mendez.
Yes, I am.
Of course you are. Go ahead, ma'am. I almost skipped you. I apologize.
My question is I have a gentleman that was in deportation, was in jail for deportation, got released. He got sent to Ohio for deportation. They eventually released him. It was a criminal that he had 10, 12 years ago. Now he's here in Massachusetts and he's married with a citizen. Can I put his papers in just to have a pending?
Yes.
Okay.
I would also look, though, what happened to that case. Was he ordered deported? I would look to see what happened with that case.
He was ordered to deport, but never was deported.
So he's a
They
priority. He's a priority. He will, if he's detained, he will be deported. He's already had his day in court. I don't know how long ago, but he's a priority.
Like 10, 12 years.
So even for him, he was deported 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a priority. If he's detained, he will be removed from the country without going in front of a judge. Putting an application for him in won't necessarily save him. If you look at who the president says they want to remove from the country, those individuals' criminal history, prior removal records. Individuals, removal history, prior criminal records. So he already has an order of deportation. He has a criminal history. So if he is detained by ICE again, a pending application will not save him.
Even if he had a valid green card at that time?
If he was ordered, listen to me, guys. Okay. If he was deported, he has an order that says you are deported from the United States. I don't care if he came across the border. I don't care if he dropped out of an airplane. I don't care if he came in, baby Jesus or Mary brought him into the country. If you have a deportation order, you are ordered removed from the United States. You filing an application for him does nothing to save him. If he comes into contact with ICE, he can be placed on one of those military airlines that the president has ordered the military to put in place because he was already ordered removed and he did not leave. He's still here. Okay. For him, I would recommend he's talked to an attorney. Maybe they can do a motion to reopen, but filing an application for him does not save him because he was ordered deported from the United States.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make. Yeah, it does.
He was ordered. He got his day in court. He had a conviction. So for him, the judge has to reopen that file. If it's not reopened, there's nothing we can do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Cecilia Urbina.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I'm sorry. Actually, ma'am, my question is that I have been working in the United States on base of 70 visa, and that's in the cruise ship. So if I apply for the EB2 NIW visa, and so will it help for me in a legal way?
You're working here on a C1 visa?
Visa, 70 visa in cruise ship. I have been working
Where are you physically now?
Right now, I'm in vacation. So presently, I'm working with the Royal Caribbean International.
So you're on the cruise ship now somewhere?
Yes, ma'am. Presently, I'm working, but right now I'm in vacation.
Oh, okay. But you're in good status. You're on vacation.
Yes, ma'am. I'm in vacation.
All right.
So my question is that if I apply for the EB2 NIW visa for myself, so will it help? Will it play any important role to get that visa for me?
Oh, yes. Because the EB2 NIW is a green card.
All right.
EB2 NIW leads to a green card. EB2 NIW is a green card. Remember we talked about the president wanting, Jay said, the president wants us to use those legal pathways, family, employment. He wants you to use that legal pathway. So if you apply for EB2 NIW and you're granted, it's approved. I don't know what your country is. There may be some wait times for processing. There's going to be enhanced vetting of your documents. Then once approved, it's approval for a green card.
Got it. Got it.
Make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you're just joining us, we're talking all things expanded deportation. Vinod, I'm going to encourage you.
I was smelling some smoke, something.
Olga, you have something for us? No, I don't think so. So we're going to encourage you, if you want to book a chat with us, I know we're talking to a lot of legal rebels. Vinod, go to winterlaw.com, Imari, can you drop the link to the firm for me in the chat? Winterlaw.com, www.winterlaw.com, winterlaw.com. We have about 11 minutes before we wrap this up, but I really want to thank all of you for joining us. Remember, we're going to be in Tampa, Florida, March 13th through 15th. The work is not done. Cecilia, your question is?
Yes, I have good morning. I have a client, he came in yesterday to my office and he came with asylum 5 years ago. Okay. He went to Kentucky, arrived in Kentucky, and then moved to Oklahoma. He separated from his partner. But he just found out that his girlfriend or wife told him that he has court Tuesday in Kentucky.
He needs to go to court. He needs to go to court on Tuesday.
I told him that, but he looked him up in the system and we called and they said they don't have him on the system no more.
Was he ordered removed?
No.
Did he miss a court date?
No.
Was his court rescheduled?
No, it was not rescheduled. Whenever he went and took the bracelet off of his leg, they said you have court date, which is a Tuesday. And now that we called in and we checked it on the Justice Web, and there's nothing on there.
All right, so he probably needs to book a chat with a lawyer to find out what's going on. He needs to schedule a chat. Okay, all right, we're going to take some questions from the audience. We'll take some questions from the audience. Olga, who's in the audience? We're going to take some questions. Nancy, I see you. Nancy, I see you. I'm coming over to you. Take some questions from the audience. Olga, go ahead.
I have Monica Mejia. She says she doesn't speak English, but she has a question.
Olga, so can you take it in Spanish and Olga will handle that. Thank you, Olga.
Yeah, so I'm going to read the question and then I can translate to her in Spanish. My son tried to enter through the border and they gave him expedited deportation under the Section 212. But we don't know why he is 18 years old and I am currently in USA. Can we ask for an immigration pardon or waiver or appeal this decision?
Where's her son now, Olga? Can you ask her where's her son now?
She mentioned that was deported. Monica,
no, he has the ERO. Sometimes they give him the expedited order of removal and they allow them into the United States. Was he physically removed or is he detained? Where is he?
Okay, Mónica, ¿me puedes por favor decir dónde está tu hijo? Si está dentro de los Estados Unidos y tiene una orden de deportación o él fue removido de los Estados Unidos. Si me puedes contestar la pregunta, por favor. Fue removido. He has been removed.
Okay, go ahead. And you want to answer anything for her?
I can translate to her.
Thank you. All right. So if he was removed, he now has incurred what we call a 5-year bar from the United States. An expedited order of removal means you're banned from the United States for 5 years. Can you reapply for something? Yes. More than likely, it will be denied.
Ok, Mónica, si él fue removido o tuvo una deportación acelerada, como nos estás mencionando, él va a ser, o sea, tiene un bar de 5 años para para poder entrar nuevamente a los Estados Unidos. Se puede aplicar a cualquier proceso de inmigración para él, pero en la mayoría de los casos hay muchísima probabilidad de que esto sea negado antes de los 5 años. Entonces, él tiene un bar que le impide volver a los Estados Unidos por 5 años. En caso de que alguien hiciera algún proceso migratorio para él, una petición o algo, y es dentro de esos 5 años que él está negado para entrar, entonces este proceso, hay mucha probabilidad que este proceso sea denegado. I think that
That's good. Any other questions in the chat from anybody who does not speak English? Legal Rebels, post your questions inside of the Facebook group, incubator group, please. Post your questions inside of the incubator group. I'll be on point to watch it, but I also want you to go look at those executive orders. Any other questions in the chat, Olga or Imari? Any other questions we didn't answer? Maybe someone in Spanish. We also posted our Jumpstart link if you want to join us in Jumpstart this next week as well. Any other questions that we missed? Legal Rebels in the room, post your questions in that Facebook group. The whole purpose of today was to kind of just go over those executive orders and to debunk some of the myths. What are you going to walk away with? If you have a process that is pending, Olga, we're good from the chat.
There's a person say that I have a friend who entered with H2 visa and has been here 10 years. I think the H2 visa expired or something, and now he is married. He has recently married. Can he apply for adjustment of status?
Oh, absolutely. If he's married to a United States citizen and he came on a H2B, even though that's H2B, unskilled worker, even though that visa has expired, the only visa you can't appeal, you can't adjust from, Vinod, is a C1. So if you're in the United States illegally on a crewman's visa, it is the kiss of death. I don't like that visa. I don't know who invented it, but can you adjust from an H2B? Absolutely. If you're married to a United States citizen, in fact, you should definitely book a chat with myself or Olga or one of our legal rebels to get your process started. For those legal rebels in the room, please post your chat into the Facebook group. Olga, any other question we didn't answer? Any other questions? If you have a specific legal question, we have the link to book a chat with me as well, where we can set up a consultation. It's $175. And then we deep dive into your specific circumstances. www.winterlaw.com for any and all of your questions. We're going to be doing more of these town halls. Remember, the president wakes up every day. He's going to come up with something new. You're going to leave out of here and say, Ms. D didn't mention this. What I tried to do was summarize all of the executive orders and what they mean. As you can see, the big focus of the executive order, the big focus has been undocumented individuals who entered with or without inspection, particularly through the southern border, and have filed nothing. You filed nothing. You're just living here. And now it doesn't matter where you are. Remember, it used to be within 100 miles of the US border. Now, guess what they said? All 50 states. That is what you should be walking away with. Undocumented. You have undocumented, I don't care if you came on a B1. A lot of times people will try to separate themselves like, oh, I didn't come through the border. I came on a B1, so I'm good. Your B1's expired, dude. I don't care if it says 10 years. You've overstayed your I-94. You are undocumented. There's nothing special about you because you came on an H-1B or you're here in an EB-2. Because you know that the folks that are fancy that came in on the H-2B, or they had an H-1B, or the students. Don't tell me about the students. They act like they're the best thing, even though their student visa, their I-20 been done expired since 1989. You're still undocumented. I don't care if you're a PhD and you fell out of status on your student visa, your I-20 is canceled, I have a surprise for you. You're undocumented. You're undocumented. So if you're undocumented, you filed nothing with the government, you have no pending application, you've broken US laws. And now we're talking to our clients, the little ones who smoke the marijuana, still a controlled substance, who decides to sell drugs, still a controlled substance. Under Lakin Riley, you're now a petty thief. You walk into Walmart and you decided you're going to eat grapes. I'm guilty. I will eat a pack of grapes before I leave. I'm like, oh my God, did I just eat all of those grapes? I look in my basket and it's not a thing in the Caribbean. You can't walk into the store and start eating. They're saying they're going to detain you. It's not a thing. If you go to Jamaica, you can't pick off a grape and just start eating. But in the US, it's so common for us. They're saying under Lakin Riley, all of these petty theft offenses, you're going to be detained. You have the ways and means to reach me. I am attorney Deani Winter Funde. I thank you for spending the last 90 minutes with me as we debunk all of these executive orders. As you go off to your clients and your family members, especially if you're in the Immigration Law Academy, I'm going to encourage you to do your own town hall event where you get your clients together and answer some of these questions. Not all of the executive orders is about everyone. Some of them, it's not about everyone. We're going to see more rollbacks. But right now, the focus is on those individuals undocumented, entered through the US immigration, the southern border, did not present themselves to ICE, did not file an application, living in the US and have filed nothing, broke US immigration law. If you have a pending process, you're going to get your day in court or your day in front of USCIS. Will it be slowed up or slowed down? We don't know, depending on what the president does. So I want to thank you all for joining me on a Saturday morning. And as they say in our culture, walk good. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.